And to introduce our next guest, I give word over to Dr. Regina from Argentina.
Mexico.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having us today. I'm Regina Andrade, and together with Carlos Orozco, we'll be presenting love expressed as coherence in consciousness. When the soul, thoughts, and actions harmoniously converge, a profound sense of harmony and coherence springs forth in our consciousness. This state of alignment resembles the way cycles harmonize, waves synchronize, and shapes take form. In this presentation, we delve into the intriguing concept of love expressed as coherence in consciousness. Well, at its core, the word coherence finds its roots in the Latin word cohere, which signifies the act of sticking together. In the realm of physics, this term is meticulously defined as the property of waves, like light and sound, achieving synchronization by maintaining an unchanging relationship between their respective cycles. This fundamental notion is the bedrock upon which we have built our understanding. However, coherence is not bound solely to the domain of physics. Its influence extends into the intricate interplay between our thoughts and actions, much like a skilled sculptor molding clay into an exquisite form. As these elements come together, life assumes shape and meaning emerges. It is this dynamic synergy, this sticking together of energy, matter, and information that constitutes the essence of our existence. Remarkably, this dynamic process mirrors the profound interplay between energy and matter, echoing the principles of the morphic quantum field. Here, we begin to see the emergence of a fascinating connection. A seed is a tiny but mighty quantum morphic field, connecting us to the very essence of existence, almost like a divine spark. They are the perfect example to how matter and energy collaborate to give life its form and meaning. Now, let us introduce the concept of love into the tapestry of coherence and understanding. The intertwining of love with coherence is not merely a matter of chance, but a divine inspiration. Carlos has invented a transducer, a key guided by divine inspiration that harmoniously combines these intricate elements. This key amalgamates information, a concept representing the ongoing process of formation, shaping, and structuring, and provides interpretation and comprehension to the energy bestowed upon us by God and the energy that permeates our world. The result is our human paradigm of understanding, a unique lens through which we perceive the multiverse. Within this lens, the notion that love is God and God is love takes on a profound significance. Love, as the very embodiment of God, represents the pinnacle of coherence. It is a force that operates within the cyclic nature of existence, where each cycle inherently embodies coherence. To love God is to dwell in a state of perfect harmony and coherence, where the cycle of love becomes a reciprocal exchange, giving and receiving love, creating a profound interconnected flow that reflects the very essence of divine love and the coherence of our existence. This fusion of elements, shapes, colors, numbers, and seeds, provides us with the capacity to comprehend the flow of energy in the multiverse around us. Through this understanding, we can live, sleep, and pray while remaining connected to the energetic flows gifted to us by the Creator. In essence, this presentation is a journey into the profound interplay of love and coherence, where unity and harmony are not abstract ideals but tangible threads woven into the very fabric of our existence. Through Carlos's inspired creation, we glimpse a deeper understanding of the divine energy that surrounds us and guides our path to living and loving in harmony with the multiverse.
Thank you so much for sharing all this wonderful, Regina. My name is Carlos Orozco, and we're here to talk about love expressed as coherence in consciousness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This real beginning is, in fact, an endless path. And we talk about the beginning and the end as the Alpha and the Omega. The earth was without form and void at the beginning, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God used physics in order to allow us to see and enjoy the wonderful world of color, which is nothing else but the mix of the whole spectrum that goes from the ultraviolet to the infrared, ranging from 390 nanometers to 700 nanometers. And this is known as the visible spectrum. And this is what we can see out of the world that we live in. The world of color is amazing because it allows us to form quantum fields. The word quantum simply means quantity, and therefore we can actually see how it forms, as Regina just said in her introduction, as a blend of color that shapes into wonderful figures that are represented here by what we call the seed of life, the beginning of beginning. Everything begins with a seed. So here we got a cuboidal geometry that is expressed by the geometrical figure of a hexagon. But if you look carefully, this hexagon is not really a hexagon, it is a cube. And by becoming a cube, it's a three-dimensional structure that allows us to see how the energy flows. The seed starts with position 7, because God created the heavens and the earth, but soon after he separated the waters from the heavens, and they call the waters oceans and the heavens the sky. And not only that, we can actually see that after that happened, the clock began to tick. In position 7, we got that amazing opportunity to see the relevance of number 7, 7 days of creation, 7 chakras in the body, 7 notes in music. All this is because of the clock that is ticking second by second. And then as it does, it blends into the different sides of the spectrum. We started with the red, and now we follow by the orange. The orange is followed by the yellow, and the yellow is followed by the green. And here we stop because you can actually see the amazing thing about nature and God himself. Have a look at the world around you and see how many things you see in red. The first one comes to mind is the pigment called hemoglobin, which is red. This is what gives our blood that color that is distinctive from many others, the red color. And then we got the green. And the green color is found in nature, in every single leaf, in every single bush, in every single forest, in every single vegetable that is around us. Then we follow with the blue from the sky that we see, that is not blue, but allows us to see blue because this is a blend of colors that is making that color blue defined in such a way that now comes the indigo, and the indigo completes, no, I'm sorry, the indigo completes the star of the show, which is the star of life. And this color blends together and starts spinning, and it blends all the colors into one color, which is the purple. And with this, we form what we call an octet. If you have a look at the number of hexagons that you got there, you got 7 hexagons, finishing with a full color, which is the purple, defining that. And the color purple is the addition of all the colors, and the one that is missing is the purple. And because the color purple is missing, that's what you see reflected by the light that shines above us. So here is a summary of what we call coherence. Coherence is basically represented by the flow of energy that works efficiently. Efficiency is one of the attributes of energy and matter and information, because every system works with efficient, allowing for the expression of energy to form shapes, and these shapes basically moving to alternative steps where we can go from the red all the way to the purple, and from the purple all the way back to the red, passing from all of the colors that are in between. This defines the fact that we have coherence and congruency working together. Congruency is a sequence of that follows and precedes coherence. The 7 hexagons basically represent and are established in the rainbow. Why? Because the rainbow comes after the storm, and the storm in our lives sometimes happens in the most amazing ways, where we got desperation, frustration, humiliation, depression, etc. And yet we come on the other side radiant. There's always sun after the storm. And what this happens is in creation, which is the manifestation of God's in nature. We can see the blend of the colors following this beautiful, beautiful scenery that you can see before you. And to do all this, we got a key to coherence, as I called it many years ago. And this is basically a transducer. A transducer is something that exchanges energy, information, and matter, and allows for congruency and coherence to come together in order to shape something based off our intention to succeed, our intention to do something, our intention to achieve, our intention to dream, our intention to follow our dreams and make them come true, and as they shaped into the reality that we're living. Here we got the diagram that shows how this happens. This has a lot of detail, and I won't go into that. All I want you to know is that there is a flow of energy that happens continuously, and this forms vortices, and the vortices are allowing energy to be transferred. And we got the Coriolis effect as an example of this. The Coriolis effect is that we see in the northern and the southern hemisphere. And this is what allows the opposites to attract, because at the moment we are in Australia, and here we got a wonderful summer about to start because we just finished winter. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's exactly the opposite. I have lived in Europe before, and of course I know what it's like to be at -20, -30 degrees when I was in Sweden with my sister and her family. And also, I also been in Saudi Arabia, so I know what these colors and the heat that the prince brings out, the essence of love and life in our life, becomes a vortex. And this vortex or vortices allow for the expression of God's eternal, omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient wisdom that basically reigns in a place called Earth, where we live. So God is love. That's a definition found in the Bible in this particular verse. And then we know that God is light. And by doing that, we can see beyond our dreams. We can see beyond the light. Through what? Through God's love. And this is something that we can see thanks to the effect of melanin in the atmosphere and the world that we live in. Melanin is a pigment that allows the skin to have a particular color. It shapes our eyebrows, our eyelashes. It also shapes and shades our color. Naturally speaking, the color of the skin is basically based on the amount of melanin. And Dr. Arturo, who is a very close friend, Dr. Arturo Solis Herrera, is a scientist from Mexico, and I got the privilege of knowing him as my friend now. And we are now looking into Arturo becoming a potential Nobel Prize in the world of not only ophthalmology, which is his specialty, but also in the world of science, such as physics, quantum mechanics, and of course, spectroscopy. So with this, take your heart and give it to people. Keep your heart to God, because He gave it to you to live. Every single sound that you produce inside of you is the resonance of God's love in yourself. So God gave us His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him will have the privilege of having eternal life. And we are all called to have this amazing thing blending with energy and colors so that we can shape and fulfill our destiny. So take care of your thoughts, because they become your words. Take care of your words, because they become your actions. Take care of your actions, because they will become your habits. And take care of your habits, because they are forming and blending your character. And take care of your character, because it really becomes your destiny. So make the most out of every day. Allow energy to flow from the heart. and then share it with the world around you. Because from the richness of the mouth, the heart speaks. Or from the richness of the heart, the mouth speaks, is reciprocal. So thank you very much for sharing this with us. And this is a pleasure to be with all of you. I just wish you, with Regina and the rest of our team, a beautiful, beautiful, amazing afternoon. Keep on enjoying this amazing conference.
If there are some questions in the audience? No, looks like not. So thank you again, Dr. Andrade and Dr. Orozco. Thank you very much.
Hello, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Wonderful. Thank you for the feedback. I must say I'm really impressed with how professional this conference has been run. And on that note, I would like to thank the organisers and very much for doing so much hard work. I know how difficult it is to get so much organised with so many people involved. So hello everyone, it's lovely to meet you. My name's Debbie Somerville and I'm from Gold Coast in Australia, and it's about 9 p.m. at night time here at the moment. So I'm very pleased to be with you today. My goal is to create an advanced technology that works across all systems of the body in a selective way, and one that can adapt to each individual's physiological needs, and that can be used by all ages with no side effects. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it is real because we've made that happen. But that means functioning alongside pharmaceuticals and alongside vaccines or herbal remedies, etc., with or without them, without any adverse events. So to do that, I've been focusing on quantum physics rather than focusing on chemistry. So using a negative ionizer as a foundation, we've created cold air plasma, and that produces an abundant supply of molecular hydrogen, H2, for the human body. And it's built in such a way that each person's body can regulate the amount of the supply that is required for that individual's needs. And as you know, H2 is the master metabolizer, and we've witnessed enormous benefits to humanity, where the more comorbidities a patient has, the better the results that they achieve. So this technology has now attracted quite a wide view from science and medical fraternity around the world. And today what I'm going to do is show you how it's impacted the lives of people that it's been used on. And then I'll explain a little bit more about cold air plasma for those that might not have been exposed to that at this stage. So first of all, why do we need to have a systemic approach to human health? And of course, as we all know and are all very, very much aware of, our environment is not what it used to be. And therefore, the cells of our bodies are not coping like they used to. So our food is not as nutritious as it used to be. Our water is not as clean. With geoengineering now, the air around the entire globe is being impacted by what's happening in the ionosphere and all the interruptions that it's had. And that's not even looking at what happens to us on an individual basis, where we're sleep deprived, where we're so busy in our modern lives that we forget to drink and we forget to eat correctly. And so the combination of all this has really confused the communication networks between the cell membranes, where those receptors are picking up information from our environment, and then they need to translate that into information for the hardware of the cell to understand. And there's a lot of breakdowns now happening in both what the impact from the environment is and how the cell is understanding that. And so illness is increasing astronomically, even though we've got advanced medicines today than what we used to have. So humanity needs to have a systemic solution. And so this particular technology is very simple to use. You basically put it on your bedside table, you turn it on when you go to sleep, you turn it off when you wake up. And you don't even know that it's doing anything, because while you're busy sleeping and dreaming and snoring, this technology is having a quantum party inside your body. And that quantum party is basically using all the systems of the body that are restoring as you sleep to help restore better than what they used to. So basically we're helping to put the body back into its natural balance so the body can heal itself. And it's used in the body in two different ways. One, through the respiratory system, and secondly through the skin. So in Wuhan, at the beginning of this epidemic, I was in China, and I was on the front line in Wuhan for January, February 2020. I didn't have very many of the technology devices there, but what I did have, I was able to turn into an 8-needle device so that we were able to treat at least 4 people per machine. We had very good success over there at the PLA hospital and also up in the chest hospital. But unfortunately, when I returned to Australia, we were basically told that the government of Australia has decided to vaccinate the population, and we cannot use the technology, and we cannot talk about what success we had in Wuhan. So we were basically hidden from the world from that time onwards. So how did I get the results that I got in Wuhan? We didn't lose any patients. And basically what we did was we looked at a virus in a completely different way. I wasn't really interested in the spike proteins and how it attaches to the epithelial cells, because that's all the chemistry side. But I do know from physics that it's possible that if you can work out how to resonate with something that's hard, then you can actually blast it. So that's what I was working on. So I know that the coronaviruses, for example, in humanity have a icosahedral shape. So the icosahedral shape is actually one of the highest in nature. And the icosahedral, if you count up the triangles, they're perfectly in line and they're perfectly sealed around a virus. And there's 20 of them. But no pharmaceutical company ever looks at that. And you don't blame them, because it's like putting a motorbike helmet on your table and trying to use a pin to get through. You'll never get through it. It's very, very hard. But using physics, we can cause so much drama around that icosahedral that we can effectively twist it by using that drama. And that's enough to actually cause it to break apart. And we believe that was the mechanism of action that actually took place. Can we see that? No. Do we know that theoretically and from experience? Yes. So these 20 triangles around the icosahedral that hold all the RNA and DNA inside, they cycle at 3,600 times per second. So using Pythagoras's grid, his factor 9 grid, I was then able to work out that that means it's creating a perfect A-sharp sound. So now I've been able to turn the virus into something that I can see, touch, smell, hear, using one of my human senses, and that was to relate to a sound. So then all I had to do was to actually resonate with that sound using the technology in order to get a result, and that's what worked. So around this time, I also set up, because I was not permitted to promote our success in Wuhan, and basically our health department had made us go quiet. And so I used this time to set up a hybrid clinical research center and case study unit. And it's a decentralized hybrid clinical case study unit. And you can see here, the more comorbidities that a person has, the higher the results we're getting. And most people have on average 5.4 comorbidities per person. And you can see there's a huge range here of different conditions that people have. Now, this technology is not going to be, a solution for every single condition, but it is able to assist with the symptoms of these conditions, and it's able to assist enough that their doctors' recommendations even start to work better than without the technology. So we also undertook a study on almost 1,000 patients. 95% reported that they no longer suffer colds and flu. 90% reporting better sleep, for example, 89% relief of allergies and hay fever and so on. We tested phagocytes and we looked at how excited they became when they were put into exposure to the technology. And we also have a professor who did some studies quite a few years ago and showed that the immune system had a convincing probability of 0.001 of respiratory tract infections and spore precipitation being statistically significant. So this has a great impact for allergy sufferers, and yet it's been improved dramatically to what the technology used to be. This lady here has had severe eczema, 72-year-old, having to bathe every single night. She tried quite a number of creams over a period of time and not getting any results that were substantial. And so within 39 days, you can see there she's basically not having to bathe at night time, and she doesn't have any pain. So then we decided we would look at how much of the pathogens of the respiratory system can we impact in a time-limited space, so in a 3-hour period of time. Because when you use this technology long-term, every single night as you sleep, then eventually you get to the point where you just don't get colds and flus anymore, even when everyone around you is sick. And you might feel like sometimes you're coming down with something, but then you go to bed at night, turn the technology on, and by the morning it's all gone. And this becomes a very common theme amongst our long-term users of our patients. And you can see here 72% of pathogens on average was removed within the first 3 hours. So we don't encourage shift workers, for example, to only sleep next to it for 3 hours. They must have at least 5 hours plus per night to have an ongoing benefit to human health. And here is a gentleman with diabetes, and he had a diabetic foot wound. He was booked for amputation. He'd had a stent put in his leg, and then within 3 months using our technology, he was able to walk on the foot again and didn't need to have an amputation. This was Lyme disease. The lady even remembers the tick bite from 4 years ago. She's got severe welts, but the really big thing for her was by week 5, we were able to stop her brain fog. And that was a really big significant issue. So she could at least get back to a normal lifestyle that she had experienced before. This was interesting surgical wounds, looking at 2 wounds created by the same surgeon, using same tools on the same day, same operation. And you can see one scar is dramatically decreased in colour and significantly improved in its scar healing. And the other one that was covered and used as a control, that scar is still looking quite inflamed and red. This lady had an abscess on her left jaw, and her professor in London, who uses our technology, also did some live blood analysis and sent it to us, which was very interesting to see the spiderwebby looks in when she had the abscess to when she didn't. And interestingly, that was using the red Mark III, and it was gone within 2 days. This gentleman also booked in for amputation of an ear due to a basal cell carcinoma. And interestingly, he'd been bleeding for every day for over a year. But like a lot of Australian men, they're very resistant to going to have proper medical treatment on things like this. And so he'd let it go for too long. And he didn't want it amputated. And I guess we were a last call for him. But as you can see, after 17 days of treatment, we were able to stop the bleeding. And after 47 days of treatment, we significantly decreased the inflammation and the carcinoma itself, enough now that the surgeon could actually work on his ear without having to amputate it. And this was a really interesting case. This case here led to the success we had in Wuhan. Because it was the first time we'd ever tested a breast cancer tumour that was 5 centimetres deep in the woman's breast. She had stage 2 infiltrating invasive lobular carcinoma. So we treated this breast transdermally. That means basically she spent 2 hours a day with a device close to the tumour site, and then she later had surgery. And as you can see, the tumour was removed, and we've got histopathology evidence to show there was no cancer cells left at all. So this took place for 4 weeks from her time of diagnosis to the time she had surgery. And so after surgery, there was no cancer cells in that tumour that they removed and excised. So this was a great story. But more than that, what IP that gave to myself was that, okay, we now know and we now have evidence that this technology is able to go 5 centimetres deep through the skin. And we used that in Wuhan because some of the patients were intubated. And so using a couple of my LinkedIn surgeon friends, I was able to find that anatomically, if I'm able to roll a patient onto their side, put them in the fetal position, I can treat the lungs through the back. And that's what happened. So the 3 patients that I was permitted to treat that way in Wuhan all ended up having the intubation removed and they walked out of the hospital. So it was a great result. We've been also looking at lupus and transverse myelitis. So all these conditions are all over the place. And his sleep apnea machine with a patient, this was very interesting. Using his sleep app device alone, his blood oxygen levels reduced by 12.72% over 5 days.
You now have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. I was wondering what that bell was. And then 34% was when we introduced with it. So this is palliative care patient with improving his oxygen. I won't go through the video because we don't have time. And even though this provokes skepticism, it's quite common when there's a lot of, when a technology is working on the systems of the body. Why is it working? Because the body is water, the body is electricity, the body is light. And we're working on those foundational principles. And here is plasma. So there's solids. If you see a block of ice, liquids, it's water, gas, and plasma is smaller again. And if you just imagine the aurora here, that's all plasma. But to have that in your body, you'd have to have 200-kilometer long leads to reach the earth to be grounded. And as you can see, the green glow of the needles here is the plasma we've created. And this is all the different aspects of the technology to actually pull it together to create the master metabolizer for the body and the molecular hydrogen to help the body heal itself. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Somerville. Any questions here in the hall? No, looks like not. So I will thank you, Ms. Somerville, very much for your presentation.
Thank you.